In my first full year as a full-time creative professional, my business hit 6 figures. But here's the thing, half of that revenue came from work that I didn't really want to be doing. I was shooting real estate and interior design, work that had nothing to do with the outdoor adventure photographer that I wanted to be. But I did it on purpose. And today I want to talk about how that came to be and why those decisions both helped my business, but also made things harder for my creative drive.
My name is Nolan Matthews. I'm a photographer, director, and pilot based in Utah. After nearly a decade in the corporate world, I walked away to build a life around travel, adventure, and storytelling. This channel is all about the work, the process, and the stories behind it all.
I want to be honest about something up front because context matters here. I didn't start my career as a photographer in my early 20s with virtually nothing to lose. I became a full-time creative later in my life after 2 previous careers, really. At that time, I had a mortgage, I had a wife, and we just found out we had our first kid on the way. One could argue that I picked the worst possible time in my life to take a risk on a creative career fantasy. Either way, the stakes were real. This wasn't some experiment. This was quite literally my family's livelihood. So when early opportunities came in that weren't exactly in my creative lane, real estate photography, interior design work, commercial spaces, I didn't hesitate. I said yes. Not because I loved it, but because I needed predictable, consistent income while I built towards the work that I actually wanted. My background in finance taught me one thing that a lot of creatives never learn early enough. You have to treat this like a business from day one, and businesses need revenue. Full stop. Here's the tension that I've really always been navigating. On one side, I knew who I wanted to be, an outdoor adventure photographer that traveled and got to shoot campaigns in the mountains, the kind of stuff that excites me and lights me up. But on the other side, that work takes time to build. You don't just declare yourself an outdoor and adventure photographer and have brands lining up. So I made a conscious choice. I struck where the iron was hot. The real estate and design clients were there. They were consistent. They paid me on time. And honestly, they helped me sharpen my skills that I still use today, like flying drones, using natural light, working with clients, delivering projects on a deadline. Were these early jobs creatively fulfilling for me? Not particularly, but it kept the lights on while I built the portfolio and the relationships that I actually needed. And in year 1, that decision helped me build a somewhat sustainable business. It also gave me the revenue I needed to continue to level up, better cameras, equipment, and processes. But perhaps most importantly, it got me into a rhythm of being behind a camera regularly, and it gave me lots of reps on running a creative business. These early experiences were invaluable and shaped my career probably in more ways than I fully appreciate. But these early decisions also had their own cost. Here's where I have to be honest about the other side of the early business decisions that I made. Those early clients became comfortable, predictable, safe, and over time, without fully realizing it, they started consuming the majority of my time, my energy, and my capacity. The work that I actually wanted to be doing, it kept getting pushed to the margins. For years, I was running a successful business that wasn't fully aligned with the creative career that I had set out to build. And I knew deep down that something eventually had to give. So I naturally waited until my second set of kids came into this world, twins, to transition away from those early, high volume and lower paying clients into the world that I wanted to be fully in. I've been navigating this transition over the last year, moving away from those early clients, reclaiming my calendar, and finally focusing almost entirely on the work I actually want to be doing. And furthermore, I've been entering a new world of pricing pricing myself based on my worth to real commercial clients and pricing myself out of working with these early volume partners. Let me be clear, this transition has not been easy. And in a lot of ways, it is probably the hardest thing I have ever done in my professional life. Even harder than starting this career in the first place. Clients you've served for years don't just disappear cleanly. Revenue you've counted on doesn't just get replaced overnight. Don't get me wrong. The time I spent with my early clients afforded me the runway to get some bigger commercial shoots under my belt. But to rip the Band-Aid off and go all in on those, that's an entirely different thing. The early decisions I made were right for my situation, but they came with a hidden cost that I didn't fully appreciate at the time. So what's the actual takeaway here? I'm not telling you to do what I did. I'm not even telling you to avoid what I did either. What I'm telling you is this: there's a super fine line between generating business and chasing your passions. And for each one of us, where that line lands will be different based on your own set of circumstances. So you need to make the decision consciously. If you're early in your career, have low overhead, and can afford to stay in your creative lane, do it. The trade-off I made might not be the right one for you. But if you're in a situation like mine where you have real responsibilities, real pressure, and real stakes, don't be too proud to take work that isn't necessarily your dream work. Build the revenue base, buy yourself time, just do it with your eyes open and with a big picture plan in place. Because the clients you say yes to in year one can define your business for years longer than you actually expect them to. The goal isn't to avoid pragmatic decisions, the goal is to make them intentionally and to keep your long-term creative direction in sight, even when the short-term demands your full attention. I had spent years building a creative business that looked successful from the outside, but felt misaligned on the inside. And I don't regret the decisions that I made. Given my own situation, they were the right ones for me and for my family. But I wish someone had told me earlier that the work you take shapes the business you build. So you need to choose carefully, or at least choose consciously. If you're in the middle of this right now, taking on work that you don't necessarily love to keep the lights on, let me know in the comments. I'd genuinely like to know what that tension feels like for you and how you're navigating it. I'll see you on the next one.